out to be completely unreliable assholes.
Hello, Tim.
Hello, Ryan.
Hello, Peter.
Hello, Ryan.
And hello, everyone.
I'm sorry. Whoa, what? What's happening? Who is that?
Oh, I was gonna say hello to our. Sorry. Can I?
Why is there? This room feels so warm and crowded.
Okay, fine. Okay, everyone. I was gonna wait to introduce him.
Okay,
introduce
you
our
just
show.
said hi to him. How can we not? How can you not introduce him?
Okay, folks. I'll tell you what the show is later. We got Peter Warden in the house today, a special guest.
Here I am.
shit.
Hello, everyone.
Peter Warden is our well, no, I was going to say fateful, a fateful host
soon
of
to be
Retro
dead.
Reviews. It's another film podcast, and he's jumped from that podcast through your ears to this one. So
Whoa.
Thank you for being here, Peter.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. It's a real pleasure to be here.
And what can you tell?
So far, you mean?
yeah. I mean, we got a ways to go, but so far in the first minute or so, it's been a real pleasure. And thank you for having me.
Great.
Right.
Okay.
That's nice of you to say.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 46 of Dismembering Horror, the podcast show where myself, Ryan McDuffie,
And myself, Tim Aslin.
well, today...
Today...
Am I allowed to talk?
Yeah.
And myself, Peter Warden, today, just today, so far, right?
Well, we dismember a horror film. And what does it mean to dismember, Tim?
Well, Webster's dictionary states...
We talk about what worked for us
Oh, yeah, what didn't work?
and anything we found interesting or noteworthy about a horror film that we've been wanting to see, that we figure is worthy of dismembering, or is just pops up on our hunt for some buried treasure amongst the gold out there of horror films. We feel it's a tackleable genre.
Tackable. We'll just stick a tack right fucking in it.
Tackleable genre.
It's a taxable genre.
There
Yes.
you go.
And today I'm very happy to now introduce Peter Warden again.
Oh, you're introducing me now? Oh, great,
Again.
thank you. Yeah, right.
I just wanted to hear more about you, Peter. I didn't want to load it up too much up front.
It's actually the sequel to the introduction at the top.
But can
Oh,
you tell us
yeah.
about Retro Reviews for some context?
Oh, yeah.
I'd be happy to. Retro Reviews is a podcast I've been doing for about a year and a half with my friend Ray. The two of us, we basically go back for one movie an episode, and we talk about movies that have come out since 1980, but we don't go back any farther than 10 years. So... No, sorry, that's not right. We go back 10 years ago, between 1980 and 10 years ago, that space of time.
Yes.
And basically, we try to focus on movies that we grew up with and we have a connection to. But then in the last couple of episodes, we actually just recently did one that neither of us had seen yet. So yeah, we're basically highlighting that period in film history with retro reviews. And,
Great.
Yeah.
I've been a listener, and I think it's cool because guys, you should listen to it, guys and gals. It's neat. It helps us move. It helps us contextualize a certain era of films, like for what is now retro for us, meaning people of our ilk and age. I think it's neat to sort of say how do they hold up, and then for the younger film goers, just to sort of be able to plug in. Okay, well, what was this? You know, it's fun to get that perspective. And why we are talking about Poltergeist II today and have Peter on for this episode is because I went on Retro Reviews to talk
Thank
about
you.
the first Poltergeist.
You son of a bitch.
Which Tim is a fan of too. We're all really big fans of the first Poltergeist here.
And I've never been a guest of anything.
Time. This is only second guest we've had on our show, so it's still very special.
Very special. Yes, we've only had a couple on our show too. So yeah, it's slowed going, but we get there.
Yeah. And let's see. Want to watch so Tim and Peter, I feel like we gotta. So Peter has had some interaction with the show before. We audience take recommendations from you for what to review. We hope you give us some good movies we haven't seen yet. And now Peter was kind enough to submit a film he wanted to hear us talk about, which we don't want to dissuade you from doing. Episode 23, we reviewed Arnold.
Oh, you guys,
son of a bitch.
You guys watched Arnold?
You motherfucker.
Oh, that's so exciting. That's so great.
I feel like I just got trolled so hard to watch this movie.
Needless to say, Tim and I did
too.
Tim and I did not.
Bastard. You bastard.
I love Troll 2. Tim and I did not like Arnold. Peter,
You know what's funny is actually
I forgot we were going to talk about this. This is exciting.
In hindsight now, I think upon those memories fondly.
yeah.
But in the moment of viewing Arnold, I was so angry. I was like, I feel like he just did this to fuck with us.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can argue the case.
No, here's the thing. I 100% did not.
After I fucking strangle you.
Okay, I'm gone. I ran out the room.
Why Arnold, Peter?
Okay, here's the thing. I wasn't intentionally trying to troll you guys. This is
enough.
like 100% the truth. The
I'll
thing
take
is,
your word for it.
I saw this movie one time when I was like 8 years old. So
You son of a bitch.
I saw it when I was 8 years old, and it's a totally obscure movie. Not a lot of people have heard about it. I mean, I'm sure there's some people out there who are fans, but
Also, where, like, what in what fucking world did you come across this movie as an 8-year-old?
As random
fucking
as
hell.
it is, truly as random as it gets. I went to my local video store to purchase a used copy of Back to the Future because I wanted to own Back to the Future, and they had a special deal where you could buy one used video and get another one free. And I just thought Arnold looked like a fun, interesting, just a fun movie. I watched it that night.
And never again.
Yeah. Here's the thing. As an 8-year-old kid who has not had much exposure to horror movies, this movie disturbed and scared the hell out of me at the time. I was terrified to look in the mirror, to put on a suit, to put cool cream on my face ever again. I was like, it really messed with me.
Because up till that point, that was like a regular nightly ritual.
All the time.
The cool
yeah,
cream.
That was my normal.
Putting on a
that was
suit.
the same way.
My normal routine. I sleep in a suit and I put cool cream on my face every night before I go to bed.
Oh my
but
God.
never again. That's Arnold. Stop that.
That's
right there.
fascinating. Like you're probably the only person in this world the movie was effective towards, like as intended as a horror movie.
You may be right. Yeah, I mean, it's out of the number of people who've seen it, which is not many.
All
So
six.
it's like-
Right, and I think it's telling that it was in the for sale bin too.
Right, yeah, the buy one get, which also kind of, I mean, looking back on it, yeah, I had the VHS, I had that, and since it scared me so much, I went back the next day and exchanged it for something else. That thing is worth like $200 on eBay.
Holy shit.
I could have made a nice little bundle right there.
But you
by
just
still having
didn't
Arnold.
want it in the house.
I did
Too
not want it
scary.
in the house. I didn't want to ever think about it again. It genuinely scared, and it was interesting hearing you guys talk about it. I played dumb a little earlier, pretending that I didn't know that you guys had seen it. But no, when I listened to the episode, hearing you guys go through the scenes, it's like, yeah, I remember all of that. Like it all stuck in my head. But then the way you were describing it, how it felt like a TV movie, like a really cheaply done, crappy Scooby-Doo comparison,
Yeah.
which I never would have made until you guys brought
One
that
of
up.
the same writers.
Yeah, that was so interesting. So it's, yeah, being like a 7-8-year-old kid, like not really having that, just that aspect of judging art in a way. I judged the events, and the events scared me. But the cheaply made aspect of it, the terrible camera work and everything, that didn't register. That wasn't something I judged.
No,
at the
of
course
time.
not.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's the virtue of being a kid and seeing movies. It's all
Definitely.
just real because it's the context.
Well, and also all you have to be given is, a very, very little amount of information. And as a kid, you will fill all the rest of the gaps in.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it didn't matter that it was cheap.
Great. Well, we should move on, but that was a score we had to settle.
And I
forgive you.
Did. No, I mean, and it was super interesting hearing you guys talk about it. It's like, maybe you would have said it was amazing. Maybe I really had no idea what the quality of the movie was.
Yeah.
So,
That's so funny.
yeah. So thank you for pulling that movie out of your hat and watching it.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome.
I'll
Tim
never
doesn't
forget
have the
it.
sincerest look on his face right now. What? I'm sure you'll never
How
forget
dare
it. That
you.
I believe you.
So folks, if you have an obscure film you saw when you were 8 years old, a horror film that you want us to talk about, please do as Peter did and let us know. We'll watch it. You'll enjoy it. But today
And
we
I'll fucking
watched...
hunt you down.
Is that why you wanted me on as a guest on the podcast? Is that why we're
Oh
in
yeah,
here
I have
right
a
now?
present
wanted
for you.
to-
It's this knife.
No, Peter, we are here to talk about Poltergeist 2 because Peter and I had an obsession with Poltergeist as kids. And I mean, we all do. It's a great film.
We totally did, yeah.
Poltergeist 2 I hadn't really seen since my kind of early obsession with Poltergeist. So I thought, I'm sure we watched Poltergeist 2 and 3 and we're really excited to do so.
Yeah, we were. I remember the night it happened.
So wait, what was our experience watching Poltergeist 2 as kids?
I remember most every aspect about it. It was in the living room of your father's house. It wasn't just us. We had a friend with us who hates horror movies like more than I did as a kid. Like just was terrified of any kind of horror movie, and he had not seen Poltergeist 1, but we sat him down and forced him to watch Poltergeist 2
You definitely
with him.
need to say who that is.
Is it Joe?
Yeah, it's Joe.
Great.
Okay,
Okay,
all right.
cool,
I
great.
got permission, so there we go. Yeah, it was Joe. Every even mildly scary moment, he pretty much had his face buried in his blanket and the pillow or whatever
Great.
the whole time.
Well,
So,
what
yeah.
did we make of it?
I remember us immediately saying like, yeah, that was not as good as the first one, but there's some fun special effects, some fun creatures here and there.
I think we'll probably say something similar today.
I think we will. Yeah.
Wait, how old do you think you were?
we were like 10 maybe.
So you had already seen the first one you saw together?
Yeah, we watched the first one together. Well, I had seen it a couple of years earlier, but that similar to Arnold, it scared the hell out of me and I didn't want to watch it again.
Yeah.
But Ryan sort of convinced me to watch it again because I was describing it to him and he's
wanted
like,
to see
I really want to see it. I was like, you know what? It's time to face my fears and watch it again.
Yeah.
And it became one of my favorite movies and both of our favorite movies.
So in sort of combining retro reviews and dismembering horror, we thought it fitting to dismember Poltergeist 2. What is it? How does it stand up? Does it got a bad reputation? I don't know. Let's get into it. Let's watch the trailer for
Oh shit.
Poltergeist 2, The Other Side.
They're back.
Let me in. Let me in. What the hell? Won't you leave us alone? You are gonna die!
Wow. That makes that movie look real scary.
It certainly does. They're back.
Yep.
That's not the line reading that's in the movie.
It
That's
sure
what
isn't.
kind
I
of
like
bums
that
me out.
Fucking when that happened, I was disappointed.
This line reading was better in the trailer. It was way
100%.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I wonder
why-
if they didn't get the visual, the shot right. But I don't know.
Why would they use that take? Well, I guess we'll get into it, won't we?
Yeah. Cool. Well, so the first thing we do to sort of set the stage, go into, setting the stage,
That we are. Yeah, that's right. The
is
stage
we
is
rate
set.
it. There's a rating
Yeah,
section.
we got to rate this.
This is us, folks. This is us telling ourselves, would we avoid it, stream it, rent it, or buy it? Tim?
I'm pretty torn. As a movie, I think it's a stream for me, but there are like enough individual moments and enough sort of brand overlap nostalgia that I guess I would rent it. Like if I don't know. I think I'm a stream actually. I'm gonna stick to a stream.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go around the circle here. Peter.
So when you say stream it, does that mean stream it for free or spend a few dollars to
Well,
stream
it's like how you already pay for a streaming service. It's
that's
that
true.
where you you don't think of how you're paying for Netflix every month, but it's there. Like it's that distinguishment between paying. Okay, it's not on Netflix, so I'm going to pay $4 to rent it.
I see. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I am a pretty solid. I thought it was solid. I'm a pretty solid stream it for this, particularly if you're a fan of the first Poltergeist. It feels like something that a fan of Poltergeist should see, and because it checks a lot of boxes that you would want fulfilled just as a fan of Poltergeist. So if it's there, if it's that readily available, I see no reason not to watch it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you have hesitations that as far as making it a full rent?
Yeah, I think because, renting it, you have to leave your house. You have to slam down.
No, you can just rent it on iTunes.
Oh, okay. So stream. Oh, okay. Stream. All right. I'm still picturing video stores. I see.
There's no trip to the store involved if that changes your answer.
Well,
it's the difference between watching it for pennies and watching it for $5.
Right. Well, so I'm kind of hovering between stream it and rent it. Okay. I feel like since it's a definite for me for stream it if it's that readily available. And if you're a big fan of Poltergeist, as I am, sure, rent it.
This is you talking to yourself, so it sounds like you're a rent it.
Yeah, I guess that does upgrade me to a rent it. I feel so solidly, if it's streaming, yeah, definitely watch it. But if you're a fan of Poltergeist like me, yeah, rent it. Go for it.
Okay.
I don't know. I was kind of going between. I mean, I definitely think rent it, but like I got high on this movie. I swear, watching it, it like struck a chord with me. Like I don't. This is funny. What were you saying, Tim? As a sequel? No, as a sequel to Poltergeist. Like as a sequel to Poltergeist, I don't. It keeps it lower, like a stream or a rent it for me. But this, like as a movie, that's kind of like they don't make them anymore, and it has a lot of really entertaining things in it. And if I don't compare it to the first one, it's like close to a buy it for me.
Holy shit!
But it was, I don't know. I got a lot of everything that was just kind of like whatever for me when I saw it as a kid. I liked it more this time around as far as the actual story.
You confound me.
And if I could actually, and again, if I was watching, and that's thinking of it not necessarily as in context with how good the original is or how it sort of, I don't know. I just sort of accept it for how different a different route it take.
I think it's fair. I think the idea of saying if you could eliminate your memory of the first one and watch this in isolation, would you be able to walk away being like, yeah, that was pretty fucking solid?
Yeah.
And my personal argument to myself is no.
Well, not solid. I wouldn't say go as far as say, as you said, pretty fucking solid, but I'd say indelible and entertaining.
Okay.
But I think it's a rent is fair, but like an enthusiastic rent. Like I'd be excited to sort of watch this with, I don't know, I don't want to say as far as fell in love with it, no, but I had a nice affair with this movie this time I watched it.
Okay.
Yeah, my appreciation for the original Poltergeist is almost essential to my appreciation for this movie. Like I need it totally feeds off of that.
No, that was
like,
definitely happening with me too, and I liked a lot about that also, which is why I also rate it as a rent.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, well, we can get into it. Next is the summary.
Mm-hmm.
This is where, now, folks, you get to hear what sort of our takeaway was from the story of this. So, as briefly as possible, Peter.
Yes. Oh, boy.
How would you summarize the events of this film?
I would summarize it in that I'm trying not to look at the corporate aspect of how this movie was made, but I'm trying to just look at it just on the story alone. Ghosts who kidnapped Carol Ann a few years ago, or is it 1 year ago? I think the context of the movie
Was this
says
like
1 year ago.
Yeah.
It only separates 1 year.
Even though the actors are all 4 years older.
How does that why would just make it 4 years? Look, why would they do
Because part of the summary, I think, is 1 year or not much time has passed since the Freeling family
It is 1
has
year.
been tormented by a poltergeist who had kidnapped their daughter.
But clearly more than 1 year. Why? Okay. All right. Well, all right. So 1 year after these ghosts have kidnapped their daughter, they continue to chase them around and wreak more supernatural havoc in their home. And we get a better idea of who this villain is, who is trying to kidnapped poor Carol Ann.
We get some of the other side. They're living at the mom's of the mom's house, grandma's house.
Yeah, grandma's.
She passes away.
Yeah.
I think important to point out is there's the Native American character,
right? He's
Taylor.
Yeah, he's sort of a mix of. He's a part of the paranormal investigation. He's a cohort of Zelda.
Yes.
He's the new
Tangina.
That's right, Tangina, whatever.
Zelda Rubinstein,
Yeah.
right?
And there's a lot going on. I'd say sort of the through line of the story is that push-pull of Stephen Freeling, Craig T. Nelson's character, having a push-pull with what Taylor is matter-of-factly presenting, just sort of, oh, it's this other side. This is how things work. Da-da-da-da-da. And even though Stephen Freeling and the rest of the Freelings just went through this crazy experience, he's still being a bit hard-headed as to the details and how I guess, of this phenomena.
Just like Ghostbusters 2, nobody remembers what happens in the first one.
Yeah, he's resistant to still be open-minded about it all, which was kind of something set up about his character in the first one, and it was interesting how it continued in this one. So that's going on too. That's kind of the flavoring of it. And it's kind of, I guess, like a child stalker story, because you have a creepy man in a suit stalking Carol Ann and wants to be let inside. Oh, I think that's how to paint a picture.
Yeah.
That's a noble message for them to throw in there, is don't talk to strangers.
I think the other aspect, the connective thread of the first one to this one is this idea of the beast. In the first one, it sort of just, defined this idea of the beast is the thing that is keeping Carol Ann and wants Carol Ann there because she serves a purpose for the beast to keep these spirits that are trapped in limbo from going to the light and resolving their limbo status. So the beast is somehow feeding off of that negative energy and using Carol Ann for it. This then takes Cain, this character Cain, and personifies him into the sort of the vessel for the beast. So the beast being whatever you want to call it, because they never really define it, but being sort of evil, just pure evil or whatever, the concept has put itself into this preacher from 100 years ago or something like that. And because that preacher was kind of inherently a piece of shit and crazy or whatever, it attached to him. And so it's like double things happening. The preacher being a bad dude got kind of magnetized to the beast, and so the beast is feeding off him. So it's like
he mass murdered people in a cave by faking an apocalypse, and that cave is what their house was built on in the first one.
And so you're kind of stacking things, like if the main evil is the beast, the next evil is Cain being a piece of shit, but then it's Cain's spirit, because Cain's spirit, it's because he's dead, but he then is being deceived by the beast to think that he's not dead. And so he's walking around in real life and he's attaching to Carol Ann and trying to sort of pull her into his world for the sake of his preacher maniacal, like end of the world scenario.
Yep. And then the Freelings and then this family gets the short end of a stick by having their house on top of that cave.
Right. But it's the reason that moving doesn't matter for them.
Yeah.
It's that sort of through line of badness has attached to Carol Ann and will follow them.
Well, and there's
wherever.
something kind of set up too and continued in this one of Carol Ann having some sort of special like life force. Like she's
got the shine.
Yeah, she's got the shine. They want it. They want it. They're what is it? They're drawn to it.
Yeah.
Great. Is that something? I think that summarizes it well.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, a good vessel for more crazy hijinks to happen in these people's houses, I
Yeah.
guess, with special effects and everything. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, then with that, we can move on to our first section, What Worked.
What worked for you? What worked for you?
It worked like a charm. Smith.
What worked? What worked for you?
Well,
Who wants to start? Who wants to
This worked
start?
for me.
Who wants to
So
start?
I'll start talking about. Okay, so I mean, the first one, what makes it so, one of the things that makes it so good is that idea of the beast, and it's just that weight of that word that it takes on when you have no idea like what it is. You know, it represents a pure evil incarnate. So I feel like this one, yeah, it does get sort of almost rightly so a bad rap that it just completely eschews that, you know, in a way. It's not going to be scary, but yeah, that's true.
It's eschewed. It's put over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's sort of pushed over onto this other character.
It's giving
But it's not
backstory.
lost.
Yeah, but like once I've accepted that though, that it's just going to be different, then it sort of becomes fun in that sort of the horror movie series way of like, okay, so then how do they expand on this? Like, you know, how do they just take these sort of phrases and ideas from the first one and what's their kind of fun little take on it, you know? And I thought it was cool because like, I don't know, I thought it was neat to approach, okay, well then what is sort of our, if we want to get into more what this other side is that was set up in the first film, like where in our world is that sort of talked about and acknowledged? Like, oh yeah, Native Americans matter-of-factly speak of, have a relationship with quote unquote the spirit world. Right. I thought that was neat. And then Kane is amazing. Like, even though he does, I don't know, that basically Kane kind of compensated, where it was like, if you are going to put a face to this creature in a way, it's like, I can't think of something better. I
totally agree.
Yeah. And that just makes it totally different from the first one enough. Yeah. And then because you wouldn't want, I don't know, it's interesting because you won't want just to totally do again what the first one did, but then at the same time, it did deliver what we liked about the first one. You know, it's like elevating objects, chasing them, people getting thrown across the room. Definitely some stuff that they tried to do that didn't work as well, obviously. But yeah, it was a neat combination for me this time around of like continuing the story of the original, just sort of the fun and games aspect, continuing that. And then, yeah, what they did introduce as far as filling out the story world and filling it in more is, I don't know, I thought it was cool.
Okay. I mean, you're right. I am appreciative of the fact that they don't just remake the original. They remake certain aspects of the original, to be sure, but they bring in the new Kane character, who's a pretty fantastic addition. If anything's a fantastic addition, he is. So yeah, they find a way to make it, you know, reasonably advancing with this story, which is, I mean, they do kind of set up for a sequel at the end of the first movie. You could kind of say, okay, so what are they going to do next? They're living in this motel now.
It sounds like you're leading up to a but, Peter, and I just want to remind you, we are going to have a what did not work section.
Of course.
Fucking do it.
Yeah, won't do that. Okay, yes. Yes, the acting I really liked in this movie, particularly by Julian Beck, who died like just months after this.
He didn't
movie
get to see the end of this film.
No, yeah, before this he that's a fantastic presence in this movie. I liked getting to see the Freeling family again, getting to see them interact with each other, and there's some good natural moments between the both of their names are escaping. Jo Beth Williams and Craig T. Nelson, whatever.
Stephen and Diane.
Thank you. And it was nice to see Tangina again. It's nice that most of the cast was the necessary cast was brought back for this movie.
Yeah.
Sadly, the older sister, Dominic Dunn, passed away, like just right after the first movie. Actually.
And Will Sampson as Taylor, the Native American, like from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah.
Like he was a real deal. Like to put him in a film, I don't know, put him in film. It was great.
Yeah.
I liked him a lot too.
So yeah, that works for sure. And I mean, yeah, well, won't get to what doesn't work. Keep me in check here. And I really enjoyed the what happens to poor Craig T. Nelson when he swallows the worm in the tequila.
So then,
It's the best.
Is that
it's
our
the best
segue to
scene.
that scene? Because that's, oh my god, yeah, it's so good.
It's
Yeah.
real.
I mean, to me, that is this movie, right?
Yeah.
Like, I watched this as a kid, probably. I mean, my brother definitely was the one who was like, we got to watch this one now. Multiple times, too. And it was always like, I barely remembered anything else from this movie except for that scene. So the whole time we're watching, I'm just waiting for that scene.
Yeah.
I mean, it fucked me up when I was a kid. Like, it really was one of those like almost run out of the room scenes. And it pays off in this. Like, it's shot well. It's freaky as fuck. Like, they do this sort of high speed thing where they obviously were using whatever the prosthetic that is hanging from his mouth. They just cranked the speed up to give it this very unpleasant, unnatural, like,
Well,
feel.
like, yeah, I mean, and then also, yeah, just sort of the physical visual of it all, that when it gets, I mean, the close up with the eye opening of
my
the worm,
favorite, yeah.
and you see him drinking it.
It's very almost David Lynchy. It's like the one piece of this movie that I'm like, there's some fucking style in this scene.
And then once it gets to the torso creature, is just my favorite. Like the way the suit looks.
Is that that has to be an actor with no legs,
Yeah.
right? Is that it is?
I'm almost
Okay,
certain,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, the grin it gives, everything. Oh my god, that's probably one of my favorite parts in this film. Absolutely, just that specific torso creature. So yeah, great effects, but like just the sort of visuals aside, I think why it works so well as an extension of kind of like, okay, well, what can you do in a Poltergeist movie? Poltergeist, like, it's the end of the first one when they come out of like a portal in their ceiling that momentarily appears and they're covered with goo, protoplasmic whatever goo. That it's like this movie, the thing of the Poltergeist is that sort of in between of the two sides, and how there is like a physical element to it in some sense that we just don't understand, of like how they connect to each other, but that there is this physical element of it. So to have like the idea of an evil, like, it can take a form of a creature and then get birthed out in that like visceral, very just kind of body birthy way. I don't know, that for me is like just one of those something you can only do in this movie. The promise of the premise, Tim.
It's the best body horror moment in, like, certainly in this film.
Yeah.
But like in my childhood, it's one of the few that sticks out very prominently.
That really freaked poor Joe out when we showed that. That was probably what really killed. I do distinctly remember that right after Craig T. Nelson swallows the worm and he has that shot where he just got like right into the camera. He's like, "God is in his holy temple."
It's so good.
We would do that a lot. Like, yeah, we would imitate that moment.
I think that's what makes it's one of the reasons the scene, I think, is so effective beyond just the visual aspect of it, is that you have this whole buildup of Taylor kind of saying to Steven over and over again, like, what makes a man? Like, you need to fucking find your power and be a man and actually take some responsibility and actually like get ready for a fight. And so Steven's trajectory at this point is kind of to just say fuck that and give up.
Just try to run, yeah.
Yeah, and he's lost his license as a real estate guy. He's selling vacuums door to door. He's like kind of falling apart. In the beginning, he's like looks like shit. His like hair is long, and he's trying to joke around about it, and it's not working. And he like buries his face in the bed at one point.
Yeah.
So you get this kind of flip of the one of our favorite scenes in the first one of them, Joe Beth Williams and Diane and him in bed in the first one, like that's a lot more kind of jovial and fun, and it has this almost hopefulness of like we're in it together and we're a family and life is good. So you have this reversal of that, And then you have him kind of going down this darker path, right? Like he's drinking like drinking the entire fucking bottle of mezcal,
and that just
or
getting in that
tequila or whatever.
depressed state really sets us up for it all. Yeah.
But then once he swallows the worm, that performance changed, because I felt like up until that point, I was a little like lukewarm on everybody's performance. But he suddenly, I mean, that to me, the movie actually kind of starts with that scene. Like it really takes off. His performance of switching into the Kane kind of persona and being possessed by Kane and going after Diana and like basically trying to rape her is really fucking intense and powerful and upsetting.
Right.
And then that fucking thing comes out of him. It's like, it's such a good, what is it? The pursuing potent possibilities thing, because we're seeing a physical manifestation of a very real and very dark thing, which is just a person's inner darkness, right? Just the idea of that, the person who gets drunk and acts badly and like really fucking badly, and that goes to a place of like, oh, it's not me, it's this other thing. That concept is really fucking powerful. And to see that in this movie is fucking actually quite cool, that they were like, we gotta do something, right? Like we can't just lean on, oh, it's this external evil that's attacking us. We gotta get it inside of us. And so that's smart writing and smart directing to be like, okay, well, what's the theme that we can sort of exploit? We're gonna take a theme of, you know, people, their own personal darkness, like whether it be depression or just like being down and out, or like the things that you'll do to try and fucking like make ends meet, or whatever the thing is. Seeing that manifestation and that change in him and getting a good performance out of Craig T. Nelson, and then getting this fucking body horror thing that actually like is the darkness thing coming out of him in a really awful way. Like he's literally vomiting up his inner darkness. And that as a fucking concept is so fucking cool to me. And then weird body horror and weird limbless thing, I mean, scurrying away. Like it totally pays off. That whole scene, Diane's performance, or my girlfriend Jo Beth Williams' performance is awesome. All of that. And it's moving. Like she's like, this isn't you. And she starts saying like, I love you while he's fucking on top of her. That is fucking
it was good to see, and,
intense shit.
Right. To have her be the counter to Steven's skepticism towards this sort of everything that Will Sampson Taylor is trying to teach him. Like she picked up on it. Oh, the power of love. We gotta use that. To
she's not dumb, which is great. Like, don't make your characters super dumb.
I agree. I have that down. Possessed Steven is terrifying. And I think not only like in the way you're saying, Tim, of representing this evil or whatever, but specifically the Kane beast evil. Like you see that character coming out in his performance in a way that's just like, oh my God, he's gotten to this person I like.
I'm glad you mentioned Jo Beth Williams. Yeah, the way she reacts to him is perfect. It's like it's heart-wrenching because she knows that, I think she knows deep down all she has to do is say this, like talk to him and like continue to connect with him, and he'll snap out of it somehow, whatever's going on with him. Like that's her best bet there, and it works. And it's a bit
of a slow roll, right? She doesn't key in on it right away. At first she's just sort of like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, what, Steven? Like, cut the shit, cut it out.
But pretty quick,
you know, it ramps up to the point where she finally is like, whoa. And then we're like off to the races into this fight. And I think it's a really, beyond all the thematic stuff and sort of the visual stuff, it's a really well-paced sequence. So, you know, awesome.
Right.
It's the moment of the movie.
Well, and I think it comes right after, for me, the other moment of the movie. I mean, I'm pretty sure it comes pretty much right after. Of the exact midpoint of the film is when Kane arrives at the house and introduces himself.
Yeah.
And that's just like, what a 1-2. Yeah. What a 1-2 punch. Like that for me is that's the scene that I remembered as well as the one we've talked about, is just that's his performance all out for us to enjoy for film history.
Yeah.
What's his name? Julian Beck as Reverend Kane. Yeah.
To watch him, and I mean, he was well aware that he was not going to be around much longer.
Really?
That's what I understand. That's the story. So he was putting his heart and soul into this performance.
Yeah.
It would be like his legacy. So,
And
and
to
you
see-
can feel it. It's
Definitely.
To see it done in a horror film is just kind of, I don't know, it's a neat, I mean, it's horrible he passed away, but just as far as getting that kind of performance rather than, I don't know, basically to see like when you see a portrayal of evil done so well, I feel like that's really special in horror movies. And this is like, if you're ranking them just on that and characters like that in horror films, like he's right up there. No one.
He's so unsettling.
It's
on
such a
so
good
many
look to him,
levels.
yeah.
I mean, the character is like writing wise, making that character, because they could have just said, whatever. They could have just said, oh, he was one of the people trapped under there and he was a bad dude. But like this idea of him, what he did to, he's essentially a cult leader. And so adding that and adding this sort of theological angle to it is like it's a religious extremism sort of thing that motivated the cult, and they were
evil reverend,
and that they were fooled, that they sort of bought this thing and it turned on, like just because of his shittiness,
right? And I mean that's done. Those are all so
strong.
well. Like it's creepy, like the idea of him reveling in just knowing he's deciding the fate of all these people who trust him. That's like done so well in those flashback scenes. Like I love those. They're so creepy.
They're great.
With him, like the candid angles, and there's something wrong with his face, and he's just laughing it up as all his followers are trusting him, as I said. Yeah,
and from a story point of view too, it's really smart to have this idea of like, okay, we need a bad guy, we need an evil character. Like we've established that there's this entity or this force in the first one. Where do we go that would attract that force? And so it's great. It's like he's overly prideful, he's fucking manipulative, he's all these sort of really horrible characteristics of a person, and it's like, the beast is going to attach itself to that dude. Yeah. So I just think it's a smart writing, character, smartly written character.
And he's charismatic too. You just kind of you're weirdly drawn to it. You're terrified, but you don't want to look away. Basically, if that guy were in public, I feel like I would have to keep watching him. I wouldn't, even though it's clear he's up to no good. It's not someone who, I don't know if I'd run away quite so quick. I want to see where this goes, and that, and just the way Julian Beck plays him is just, it's masterful.
It's neat how they extended that draw, as you described, to an actual power almost when he's hypnotizing Steven, basically, where he's going through that at the scene. Mm-hmm. And it's like the camera gets closer up to him. They're looking through the screen door, and like Steven's almost gonna let him in just from that allure that the actor possessed.
The eye just staring down. So like individual scenes like that. I mean, that could be a short film right there. Mm-hmm. I feel like that scene alone, it could play as a short film. And
the eyes, I think they're the opposite as far as what they're doing of Taylor's, the Native Americans' eyes. You see a depth and like a respect and just all the kind of Native American stereotypes, but I mean, they're true too, as far as, I don't know.
Yeah, they could have. I mean, it's 1985 when this is filmed. They could have easily fallen into some pretty bad traps, and they managed to, tread water.
Yeah, not that we're experts, but I mean, I thought it was done in a way that's like, I'm pretty sure, they would do these things.
Here's an obvious trope: the trope of the Native American who like can't drink or gets drunk really easily. Like that's a really bad and like gnarly trope that has been in film for a long time, right? And it's been exploited badly. And this film sort of acknowledges it and then switches it over and puts it on Steven. And I think that's smart,
Taylor's
they avoided a trap.
I wasn't aware of that trope, I'll be honest.
Oh, yeah.
Taylor's the one, he's calling over butterflies,
that's right,
not drinking. Right. Yeah.
And maybe that, you could take offense to that it's exploitative in a way, but
like I was so maybe if it was, but I was so into the scenes of like the opening of in the desert setting and that beautiful area where it's like, oh, this feels like an epic holy place out in Arizona somewhere, those rocks. And then like, you know, as set up for the film, and then the smoke ceremony scene with Steven. I loved all that just as like, I don't know, as the scene in itself. And then I've kind of already mentioned, but wanted to say again or say more about, was just the whole Taylor versus Steven, I don't know, thing in this in this film, you know, of Taylor has this sort of calm knowing about him, and like you said, Tim, he's really encouraging, no, Steven, you can't run from these things, this is a battle, you have to fight. And so like Steven, you know, he's in they're in the smoke ceremony, he's kind of like laughing it off or whatever.
And then it gets real.
Yeah.
And you know, Steven's sort of like, oh shit, I'm being kind of an asshole, and that shit was real. And
it's a really fun character change to see Steven go through too.
Yeah, I mean, there's another good moment too in the to that point of when one of my favorite another body horror thing that I love is when Robbie's braces attack him. I remember as a kid, fucking that really freaked me out too for some reason. Maybe I just don't like mouth shit, but like that scene was awesome. And Steven runs down afterwards, and Taylor is holding Carol Ann, and he's like, where the fuck were you, dude? And he's like, I was here
where you should have
protecting Carol Ann. You know, and he's super calm. And it's like they're really good counterpoints to each other.
Exactly.
That's, I think, what's working the most about those two characters.
Yeah. I won't say anything more about the racist scene. Okay.
What else do you got, Peter?
One of my favorite parts of the movie isn't scary at all. Well, it's a little bit scary. It's more comedy than frightening, but about 7 or 8 years ago when I rewatched this movie and hadn't seen it for a long time, I had no memory of this, and it made me laugh harder than most anything I had seen maybe that whole year.
Can I take a guess?
Yeah, take a guess.
Is it the cahoots line?
No.
Okay.
No. It's the scene where Diane is alone in the house and hears a knock on the door, and then goes up to it, looks through the people, sees nobody, walks away. There's another knock on the door. It's the most ominous music. She opens the door, still nothing there. Then you hear, "Hi!" I just fell out of my chair when I watched that.
It's like this
It's a short person joke.
It's so obvious watching it this time. Like, oh yeah, it's Tangina. Like, even though I didn't remember, I'm like, duh. Like,
it didn't. I just thought it was
I had totally forgotten it too.
And you know, something I didn't notice until this viewing. Oh, there's actually like the camera shows outside, like it's from a low level from her perspective, walking.
Oh, that's
up to
right.
The door.
Yeah.
And I just think that's
Tangina cam.
With all these bait and switch scares that like it's gonna be something scary, it turns out to be something that's not scary. I just thought that was a really clever way of doing that, and watching it this time, since I totally remembered it from like 8 years ago, it didn't have the same effect, but it really got me this time.
Yeah.
So, I liked that. And I mean, there are a lot of moments of humor that more or less
do you
work.
remember the one that I just mentioned? Where
I don't think I do.
Oh my god!
Say
It was, yeah, I forget the exact line, but it was Steven's accusing Taylor of, well, he says, "Are you in cahoots with each other?" You know, him and Reverend Kane. And Taylor just very calmly says something like,
I don't cahoot with anybody.
yes, that was it. Thank you, Tim. I don't cahoot.
Yeah, he's like, it's real convenient that, you know, all this stuff starts happening and you show up on our door. You in cahoots with whatever. He's, I don't cahoot with anyone.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. I'm so glad you remember. But I love it so much.
It's funny.
Don't cahoot with anyone.
The car stuff is funny too.
I was going to say I liked the car stuff
that
a
whole
lot.
thing. I find it odd. Mm-hmm. It's a weird line.
Peter doesn't like it.
We'll get to it.
Well, it's cool because I think it's sort of indicative of like getting, I don't know, I think Steven's core character, and he's representative of a lot of people kind of see in the world. We've talked about the kind of character, I mean, real person type that the guy in I mean, the sheriff in Stranger Things, but we've run across other
Yeah, we
characters
kind
like
of
him.
we danced around like, what do you call that guy?
It's
Generally, it's called like an everyman, but like, what the fuck does that mean?
Again, not the everyman. Not I don't.
The face forward, run
headstrong.
Yeah, run at the thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just sort of quick to make decisions kind of thing. Well, I think people like that, characters, real life, they're sort of their biggest, I guess, character journey, to put it in screenwriting terms, movie terms, is being able just to trust. I think it's coming down to kind of a trust issue thing of like, well, you know, just learning to be able to let go, just to sort of not having control or not knowing whatever. So I loved the car thing, just felt like the perfect kind of test on Taylor's part, just to kind of be messing with Steven of like, especially, you know, and then getting to the point at the end, like, well, give me the car. And it's like, you know, he could be calling, he just wants a car, whatever. But that's beside the point. Steven just has to be able to be the kind of person. It may not always be the case for everyone, but really for him, he needs to learn how to just be able to say, take the keys.
Right.
I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
I'm going to stop
suspicion
you.
It's a through line sort of metaphor.
Yeah, but I think it just works so well for his character specifically, and he's probably the kind of person that that Craig T. Nelson actually is, you know, not too far off from his Mr. Incredible role, you know, or his parenthood role. Any?
Oh, it's very similar. Okay. Yeah, it's actually probably closer than the Incredible role. So yeah, okay. I guess you've kind of swayed me in the car direction. It felt it's good. I see where you're coming from there.
There's more to be said.
Okay, good.
There's a lot of times there are things in what worked that I also have in what did not work.
Yeah, I've noticed you pull that trick every now and then. It's nicely done. I can't wait to see what happens with this one.
How about some more just specific effects? Moment, like things in it, like I got it. We highlighted the torso creature,
so far and away the best.
The worm creature.
I actually think for eeriness and sort of setting eeriness, or the tonal eeriness thing, the early bedroom scene with the phone thing and the toys that I really like the feel of. I think the reason they don't do more with it is because it's a little derivative of the first one, but I like the vibe that
the phone thing has. Specifically too.
Yeah, I like that.
I think that was a good example of like something that was just kind of a fleeting, almost nothing moment in the first one. Daddy, it's for you. Or Dad, what's the line?
It's true. It's probably the same. You tell him to take a message, sweet bee.
You
know, I didn't even put the phone together from that scene.
Yeah, it feels like if someone, you know, was young and just like saw both of these movies, they just sort of conflate it as like, oh yeah, you talk on the phone to the other side, kind of thing.
What if in the first movie Carol Ann was already hearing actual voices in that phone? That never occurred to me.
Cool.
All right, nice.
A fun little, I don't know.
Because she's clairvoyant?
Yeah.
So I liked that, the phone thing, too. I mean, I was going to say effects, but you got me onto setting. The house itself, like the interior, as far as like having character, like the first one did, I thought it was pretty on par. Like that staircase... That it is. Yeah, it's not the same kind of really grand staircase.
Well, you know what it feels more like? It feels like the Paranormal Activity houses. It's got a little more of that era and that architecture.
Yeah.
The chandeliers going and everything.
Yeah, it's different. I mean, it's Arizona.
The whole thing kind of feels like you're in a den, almost, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
But something about this, that staircase, and it was just claustrophobic enough that you almost don't really see when it's a set that's built, you know? Mm-hmm. Because they're like, oh, I need more room.
There's a couple very odd constructions of that house. Like the levels are a little, there's kind of within, you know, one story, there's a couple extra levels. There's like a sunken room, and then like there's that staircase that's going, you have to go around a corner to get into the hallway. But through that hallway, you can see down into the living room. Mm-hmm. You know, it's got carpeted stairs, which is one of my favorite things on the planet. You know, so yeah, it's claustrophobic and confusing in a way. I think that's adding to that feel of like, it's just like an Escher painting or something that you're just sort of like, wait, which direction am I going in, and how do I get around there, and are they trapped, or like what's going on?
And it works really well as the grandma's house too, like just something about her essence being there after she passes away. It works.
The browns in the the arc that really, I always associate that with older people. My grandparents had a house like that, so I did
flowers outside too.
Yeah,
I liked all that.
Do you happen to know if this was shot on sets, or was it in the actual house?
I don't actually know.
I just
if that's
assumed because it
inside
was
the real
a
house.
good budgeted film, so I just assumed it was the set. I mean, because no, they were working with all those effects and stuff on the side.
So they probably built
probably,
all the interiors are probably built.
Yeah.
All right, that's fair. Yeah,
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you like the grandma's story and her passing away at the beginning? Nope. Holding his tongue. All right. I remember when we. Yeah. Okay.
We'll get there.
So imagine we talked about like the state you were in, Peter, when you watched Arnold, being a very accepting at face value kid.
Yeah.
And it working for you. I just gave the movie that when I watched it this time.
And that's a good way to watch a movie. I mean, yeah, that's good.
But I'm granted, I normally can't, but for some reason I was able to. I think it was just because I don't know. I liked the casting of the mom.
If you can get into that headspace, that's amazing. Considering like that all we're doing is like gearing towards fucking picking shit apart. If you can sit down and watch a movie and just like watch a movie, fuck, dude.
I thought the relationship between the grandmother and her daughter and her grandkids was sweet.
I'll say, I mean, I was much more accepting of all of this because it was a Poltergeist sequel, and I had that affection for the first movie. It's like, okay, I want to see what these characters are continuing to do, regardless of how the storytelling really is.
I liked the mom as sort of the maternal equivalent to what Taylor was doing.
You mean the grandma?
The grandma, yeah.
Joe Beth's mom?
Yeah, Joe Beth's mom. Kind of this more, as I said, maternal figure, but kind of a knowing presence.
Yeah, there's sort of a like because she's clairvoyant, she's sort of in a way that Taylor's character is linked to spirituality. She also has some of that, and it's coming across.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As brief as it is.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I mentioned the effects earlier, but to follow through with that, I'll also mention this in the what did not work scene, but the end scene where they're in the other side, there's the moment where there's a transformation that Carol Ann goes through where it's like she gives off a sort of reverbery scream and her face turns into like zombie Carol Ann.
Oh, fuck, yes, that's right. I forgot about that.
I thought the effects on that were great. And just what are those moments where, again, it's like it didn't seem out of place, yet was still surprising, like, and effective, is one of the better, I think, sort of moments in that sequence. Do you remember that one, Peter?
I remember. That's a good moment in that. That's a good moment there.
And as far as far as how the other side looks, like, we're looking at it in full. Okay, to now Tim's making a face.
Reminds me of The Frighteners a little bit.
The Frighteners?
Reminds me of Never-Ending Story.
So, so that kind of 80s aesthetic of like in the Explorers, I remember some of that, where it's just like this sort of simulated cloud effect. Like I tried to imagine when we were watching
it's all the same effect.
Yeah. Well, watching it on the nice
same file there.
Watching it on the nice Blu-ray, the Scream Factory Blu-ray, I just tried to imagine being in theaters and watching that scene. And just imagine just sort of
it's also Cloud City.
Yeah.
They put it out in 70 millimeter. That would have been pretty good.
Yeah. But just the scope of that, I don't know, just I liked being in that place. Like, I would rather have the other side look how it did in this versus some CG laden thing. Like, it still had that other dimensional quality to me that the effects that just happened to me, not just happened to me, but the effects at this time really lent itself to.
That's interesting. I mean, I really, really like the lead up to them getting into the other side when they're actually down underneath in the caves. Like that whole sequence to me, I'm personally like fairly claustrophobic, so the idea of being in caves and like underground and shit like that. And there's like Steven just jumps into the water at one point. I'm like, you fucking, there's no way you get me to just get into water.
I
like
loved
that.
it once they snapped into Diane and Carol Ann into the other side. It was just this crazy like close up of Kane, and some magic thing happened, and there was like a what? And Tim, I remember you just went like, whoa, what just happened?
Yeah, they disappeared. Like fucking why? Like they just fucking like suddenly were on the other side. It's just like, oh, found a portal. Bye.
I loved the fire being the portal between.
Yeah,
that was another
that's cool.
good example of like the importance of sort of allowing trust. Like, oh, I'm gonna stick my arm in this fire. And like, yeah, you got to do it, and it works.
And
the messages are there. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm glad the messages are there.
well, and yeah, it's. I mean, again, it's sort of like it's smart writing that they have Steven going through the portal. Like he has to be the one to jump in this time, whereas Diane did it in the last movie. So like little things like that, I think are smart and working. But I think do you have anything else?
Just the fact that it had more Tangina, more Zelda Rubinstein. I don't
Was there
care.
more Tangina? You mean just any?
She's just in it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's the fact that we had her in another movie, that character, that actor playing that character, kind of like what we already said about the Freelings.
Yeah,
like great, more Tangina. Peter, that moment wouldn't exist. It was
That's
knocked
true.
on the door.
That ingenious comedic horror moment.
Yeah.
Tangina and Carol Ann are the only two. They're the only two actresses who are in all three.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I do have one last thing, but I wanted to end with it. Do you guys have anything else before that?
Nope.
What worked?
No, I don't.
So we already kind of mentioned it though, but just as a transition, the fleeting moments I thought it was really interesting that they have pretty much duplicating like beat for beat where it is in the film, that couple scene, I want to call it. We know the famous couple scene from the first one of just Diane and Steven together. And they were like, okay, now let's just do that again. So what worked for me in that, there was just fleeting moments in it that I thought were really cool, just to see them, the actors, letting them do their thing again. And then side note, I thought that was something else I liked in this movie. That was the way it was shot, and a lot of times of just that same widescreen syndrome, just letting the actors do their thing, being able to take it in. There's some good moments in the couple scene of that. It's like, hey, you know what? We get it again, and it's cool. All right. What did not work?
It's not ready yet.
Seems to work okay.
No, something important's missing.
What did not work?
You're gonna do it, aren't you?
I'm gonna do it.
You
so,
motherfucker.
I can't wait to see how he
Yes.
does it. All right, yeah.
So that same scene, the couple scene in Poltergeist II, what did not work, there was a pervasive awkwardness of seeing them try to capture the magic again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's the attempt to do the beat by beat kind of matching is just handcuffing the movie in so fucking many ways. Like, why? Like, who's sitting there going, oh yeah. Remember on page 12 of the first script, this happened. So better happen in this. It's what are you talking about? Like, yeah, in general, sure. Like, broadly speaking, you want to kind of keep to a structure that is universally effective. But to try and do like repeat scenes, that's fucking crazy.
They didn't have Steven Spielberg this time around, or Toby Hooper, so they didn't really know what to do. It was like, okay, the first one was a big hit. We got to make it again. Let's just do what they did again. That's the strategy of so many sequels.
Yeah.
But as a concept, that blows my fucking mind.
Right?
Yeah.
Just to, what has worked is, they just took the most surface level things about like what they thought was making it work. Well, this is maybe I had things of note, but I think it's applicable to if we just get to like the acting in this, as far as Like, look at Robbie as a representative of there are real natural moments in the first one that made his performance work. This one, not so much.
I think Carol Ann as well.
Yeah,
like
ditto,
she
the kid,
feels like
totally.
she's. Both of the kids feel like they are either being coached to do line readings like from the
No,
first
I can
one.
tell you what it was.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, okay, go.
what I was going to say, Robbie, the actor, appeared in this featurette. In the second one,
right, yeah.
he described that that Toby Hooper, Steven Spielberg, their advice to him and the kids, everyone, on set with kids, adults alone, was like, all right, make it just be yourselves too, be natural about it. Like, can say the lines however you want, be in the moment, follow your attention, just all that stuff, that style of acting. And he says, well, this director, God, what's his name? I forget. Brian Gibson. He said he had a very specific vision for everything. And he's coached through. And Robbie was very appreciative of Jo Beth Williams for helping him out.
Yeah, it feels like it's the difference between Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone and Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone 2. In the second one, he's not bad, but he feels a little bit, I don't want to downplay training, but it feels so much more calculated. And same with this, like so much of what they're doing, it feels calculated. You don't feel like you're really watching kids. Carol Ann has some really just cruel lined readings that she has. Like when she's like looking... when she's talking to her grandmother, it doesn't feel at all like a grandmother-grandchild relationship. She's just being coached to say like things in as sweet a way as possible, but not who she really is.
Yeah.
Maybe they're trying to convince people she's only a year older when she's actually 4 years older. Maybe that's messing with her head right there. But it's just... And when she's talking on the phone to her grandmother or, in the fake phone, that could have been such a touching moment if they had just, I don't know, maybe just let her do her thing a little better or directed her better. But it doesn't feel like she's actually hearing anybody. It feels like she knows the camera's there. She knows the director's there. She's just doing it the way they've told her to do it.
Same with
there's no real emotion
They're
there.
Back, which was supposed to be the key
what
line.
the
It just
fuck,
felt
dude?
like,
It's right there on the poster. They're back too.
The line itself isn't bad. Like, we heard the reading in the trailer sounded good.
Did it sound... I don't know if I like that either, because it just feels like it's entirely mimicking the way
Yeah,
it was
true.
said in the first movie. And, it doesn't... They got... For the trailer, to get people to see the movie, they're mimicking it exactly. But in this, it's a little different. And she's just kind of looks up and says, they're back. But there's no reason for her to say that.
They're back.
There's no reason for her to say that at that moment. What child would say the words "they're back" after what just happened to them?
Carol Ann Freeling.
Well,
No,
and even
no.
like, let's just assume like just that in that moment that she's realizing that this whole shit is going to happen again, right? That this trauma of a year ago, the line reading both in the trailer and what she does in the movie does not evoke in any way how somebody would be like, oh fuck, like shit, they're like, this is going to happen again. Like, there's nothing underneath it. It's just a line reading. And that's really upsetting because like, it's exactly what you're saying. It's like somebody's off camera being like, no, remember the way you did it that other time? Like, just, it's like, remember it sounded like this. Da-na.
Yeah.
Do it that, remember, because you did it that way. It's like, with the conversation with the grandma, it's when I can't remember if it's the yarn part or if it's later, but she's saying and again, and that was sort of a big moment in when Diane is asking her in the first one, like, do you see them? And she's like, did you do this? Right. Is it the TV people? And there's something really endearing and creepy and kind of cool about it in the first one, but they're trying to have her do that again, literally, like,
I think
exactly that, and that's just like,
I mean, it's
what the fuck?
It's obviously not good, but it's forced. But I think a big reason is because of the age difference in her and the actress and the character at the time.
Yeah,
like they're here, and is so. It works because of the age that she's at, but we've already seen she's grown.
Right.
She's a lot more intelligent. Like, she wouldn't speak that way.
Right. She's clearly not 6.
Yeah.
I mean, she's
so don't
Right.
have her say what she would say as a kid, as opposed to being like, oh, so the line from the first one is this, so do that line again. Like, that's fucking dumb. And it's fucking lazy writing. I'm sorry. Like, it's just super lazy. Like, why? Dialogue, like, do something with the fucking dialogue.
She's not in Arrested Development, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, come on, guys.
I mean, I know that storytelling-wise, they really wanted it to just be a year later. That seems to be the case here. But when you have kids, when it's that apparent that they're that much older, just make it 4 years later and deal with it. Just find a way around it. Find a way to deal with it.
Split the fucking difference, you know what I mean? Like, even so, like, you could get away with it, but, like, I mean, look, it's another movie. It's a new movie. Why don't we want to see how those kids have been affected and changed in those couple years? Like, make them have character development within the time that we haven't seen them.
Rather
like,
than just try
do
to force
something
them to
like
be the same.
What
exactly.
That's a
go through the
crazy
exact same
idea.
things.
Yeah. Right. Similar moments with Robbie too. Yeah.
Yeah. He even says, Carol Ann, like the way he's like, Carol Ann.
Yeah.
Like, he is doing the same thing, and his it doesn't work with his older voice. So it's just like, it's not working. Why would you fucking do it?
His
like,
voice is totally deepened.
Yeah.
It sounds like a preteen now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, as a director, why would you
Screenwriter
handcuff
in
yourself?
this case too, I think.
Yeah, I mean, they're all. It's and you know, and the screenwriters are the producers. So I think between the two producers who are the writers as well and the director, they're probably all just being like, yeah, redo the thing. That's a bummer.
Yeah.
That is a bummer.
What else you guys got?
The score is kind of a bummer too.
Really? It's Jerry Goldsmith, and he's just doing
Jerry Goldsmith, he had the most brilliant score in the first movie. Here, he will occasionally repeat the music from the first movie, but it sounds like this weird synthesizer kind of like it's
really.
I mean, that's what it sounded like to me. It didn't sound nearly as good, and anything new that he created, nowhere near as memorable at all. It just sounded like the most generic nonsense. I was shocked to see that it was Jerry Goldsmith again. It sounded like just some guy who they hired to imitate Jerry Goldsmith at best.
Budgetary concern. I don't know. I mean, I agree there were no new good themes or anything, but I just got excited and thought it was effective when they used the old themes. Like, I didn't like them enough to mention it and what worked the music, obviously, but I didn't think it was not working.
Oh, I was so bummed out when I heard the way the old score sounded in this movie. I had forgotten there was the old. I had no memory of it until this view. I was like, oh, they really did use the old score here, and it sounds awful.
When he's walking,
I guess
up,
he didn't have the same.
The deep tuba or whatever.
Like, dun, 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 dun. It just sounds like, I don't want to mess with your music rights issues here, but
Don't worry.
It sounds like it's being played on like a keyboard or so. Yeah, that was upsetting. I wish they could have found, I know it's a really tragic circumstance and maybe there was no tasteful way to do it at the time, but the fact that they don't address the fact that the big sister isn't around anymore.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have any kind of, but I mean, it's like Heath Ledger, The Dark Knight, they didn't want to like reference the Joker. I suppose I get.
I'll bring it up now as a
Right.
thing of note, but that they actually did have a scene where they were going to show her away at college.
Oh.
And then that she wasn't, but then I'm like, well, why not just have her off, like, you only see the one side of the phone call, like what you said, Peter. Like,
I see, yeah.
why not just no? What you're saying, like, I agree. Like, why not? Even though she couldn't be in it, why not just have them be on the phone with her in college and just acknowledge it that way?
Yeah.
I mean, you want to get real sort of like, I don't know if you call it dark or maybe it's inappropriate, but like, just have Diane on the phone saying, "I miss you."
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it would. Personally, I would be like, that's a tasteful nod to the fact that she's not there anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and like
You don't need to
could do
hear her
that.
say anything more.
No.
It's just a voice over phone.
No.
Joe Beth's like, "I miss you too, honey," or whatever.
Yeah, love you, miss you.
Yeah.
I mean, I would be touched by that if that were in the movie.
Yeah. Well, okay, there were things when I was listening what worked, Peter, that sounded like you wanted to continue. Yeah, and I think we need to start hitting those.
Yeah, let's hit
The
them.
cars.
Yeah.
The car stuff.
No, I think I came around with the car stuff. It just felt too on the nose, a
Okay,
little too.
the
yeah.
grandma then.
The grandma. Well, I mean, I kind of addressed that as well. Not totally, but the interaction that she had with Carol Ann just felt so unnatural and just so forced. I mean, if you're introducing this new character of the grandma, you need to give her some kind of history or some kind of have her settle in a way. Instead, she just kind of jumps in. She's there for like 2 scenes and then she dies. And there's just I don't feel any real emotional connection there because she wasn't in the first movie. I don't know who she is.
I don't. Her and Joe Beth. I don't know.
I mean, there wasn't much there, and then the flashback that she has in the garden. I mean, I like it in principle. I like the idea of it, but it's filmed in just such a cheesy, hallmarky way that just does not fit even with this movie, which is not shy about being sentimental at all. But even here, like that was just so over the top. I felt and. But I mean, yeah, same thing. If I had known who the grandma was, if I had any kind of real emotional investment with her, then I probably could have forgiven it. But still, it's like, it's just forcing you to feel this, like, this memory that Joe Beth Williams is having out there. And it just feels so manipulative in that sense.
I'm guessing you two didn't like when she saved the day at the end of the side. Tim with like,
that made me so mad. It's not a solve. That's a fucking like Deus. What's the
Deus Ex Machina?
Yeah, it's a Deus Ex Machina. It's if you had woven her in somehow and really felt an understanding of, I think, a key plot point that they do not lean in on, that none of the stuff in the house starts happening until she dies. Like, she is keeping it at bay, and like we don't have any inkling of that. There's nothing to suggest that. That's sort of as you afterwards have watched the whole movie and you kind of go, oh, right. That's the moment when stuff starts going badly is when she dies. So why didn't we nobody says anything about it. Mm-hmm. You could have had Taylor say something about it. Like, I'm here because we know that this just happened and because I have a connection to the spirit world and I know she did. Like, we knew, even in some place, like subconsciously, we knew, or I'm here because I felt the release of a protector from the house. That's why I'm here. Like, anything of that realm to suggest would have given us enough to understand when she comes back in on the other side in the end of like, oh fuck, she's not totally gone. She's still been there. Or like sprinkle it in throughout. I think there's one scene, right, where Carol Ann says grandma says she loves you or something like that, but it's it's like the moment she's dead,
and it's
right?
set up that she's a clairvoyant or spiritual person, has access to the other side, so like you could have sprinkled in some sort of little like rule, so to speak, about as far as presence on the other side.
Something, please, like, or like just drop her in when things are getting really bad in sort of the end of the second act. Mm-hmm. Drop her in some way to kind of like an Obi-Wan way where it's like he's
run,
just
Luke,
sort of
run.
there like giving a little bit of encouragement, and you go, oh, he's not gone. He's not totally gone. Like, yeah, he's dead and that sucks, but he's not gone.
Yeah.
If you had done that, her coming back in the end maybe wouldn't have felt so fucking lame. But it's also just like, God, like, that's not... You need your characters to solve the problem. Yeah. Like, your lead characters, if it's Steven's story, which it feels mostly like Steven's story.
I guess so, yeah.
Have something. He fucking is. Wait, is it him who lets go of Carol Ann? It's like they're all fucking clinging to each other, floating around, and then like he lets go. What?
They had to stab it with a spear. They did that on their own.
I like that.
Yeah, and we also didn't mention it was cool, the multi-face tier.
I hate it. It's so derivative to me of the thing.
Let's talk about that in things of note, that creature, that visual. Anyway, but can I at least say that that creature post limbless scurry away thing, I fucking hate. The torso thing that I liked?
After the torso.
It
becomes this big sort of blob
with all the faces.
With the faces and the fucking... it's got like Medusa hair. Right. It's just like a foot
Yeah.
Like it's a big fucking leg at
Yep.
one point. It's just, I think it's a shit design. It means nothing. It's not connected to anything. It's not like I feel like it's Kane. It doesn't feel like it's the beast head that came out of the fucking closet in the first one, or even
I'll tell you all
monster
about
thing.
that in things of note. But
fuck
I think
that
It
design.
goes way
It
too
sucks.
far. Like,
I think it,
And then they're floating around in
Yeah.
fucking the sky with it, and it's lit fucking terribly because
that's what I was going to say. How it was lit was what killed it for me.
that sucks.
I only remember that scene as the torso thing crawling around. I never remember what happens out.
Well,
like
how it was
that-
lit
that
and how
next-
much you
yeah.
see too.
It's
like,
it's
if you-
super limited, and it's in the other side when they're floating around in the end. It is the thing that's it grabs Carol Ann and essentially kills her, I
that
guess.
they refer to that is the beast. you
So
know?
that's, I mean, it's a fucking, it's
Okay.
not connected.
How
That's my
about-
problem with it.
Peter, when I was going on about the overall story stuff, and you were agreeing it, but had some buts to it. What about all that?
You know, I kind of want to save that to things of note as well, in a
Okay.
way. I mean, if I'm entirely clear on what you're, yeah.
Meaning, okay, so nothing in the overall story did not work for you.
The overall story, it's there. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's there, but I do want to bring something up. And yeah, we'll get there.
Okay, more noteworthy rather than something that we were adverse to.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, what else you got?
The braces scene really bothers me. I don't. I feel like it's a little bit. I mean, not a little bit. It's entirely repetitive of the or derivative
clown,
of the tree outside the.
No doubt. It comes
Yeah.
right at the same fucking minute mark.
Yeah,
Distracting with Robbie.
Yeah.
Right. It's
Yes.
the same. And it just feels like a little bit too over the top in trying to gross us out instead of scaring us. I mean, the tree scene was like genuinely tapped into these like primal fears I had as a kid, whereas the braces scene is just like how disgusting can we make it? I just found it so upsetting, and then he ends up on the ceiling I
hated my braces, but not because I thought they were going to come alive. Like,
right. I never got to that point. I mean, I never really thought a tree would come alive too, but it was
But it has
something
a
that I look
presence,
at.
yeah.
Like it's an ominous presence out there. Like there are shadows. There could be like hidden faces in there that were creepy.
Yeah.
But braces, it just feels.
it was a line for me, the braces, because I thought it was kind of cool when they initially come out, but then there's just something so silly when it's just in mass and you see it in full and he's on the ceiling and it's just the little eye sticking out. Like, I don't know, that's where it did kind of lose me.
That's kind of what they do with the torso creature. They just take it way too far after they.
Not the torso creature. I like
Right, I'm
torso.
sorry, yeah,
Torso is the one, the limbless guy crawling around. That's
Right.
when I say torso creature.
Right.
But the beast in its full. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, even I think the ending of that braces scene is dumb. It doesn't actually make sense either. Like the wires are reaching for the outlet, and Diane's like, the outlet, and she like grabs it, and then it like sparks anyway, and they all go blowing back, and it's like,
And it's not there anymore.
yeah, and it's not. So it's like, well, what the fuck was the? What were we in danger or not
Right.
in danger? And like
The
what's
tree,
happening?
we see him getting eaten by it, so we have to get him out of it. And then there was a
And then
tornado.
they do.
So that's how it went away. But
Yeah.
they don't really answer those baseline, like, as crazy as they are, hows.
Well, look, I think ultimately a big part of what we're talking about is if you're going to try to sort of match one-for-one scenes, you better make your version fucking like up the ante, make them better, and have them be well fucking constructed and written out.
That's kind of like a built-in, expectation. Or
Like, you
rule
better
to a
do
sequel.
it. And they were hacky as fuck with a lot of those scenes. Like, where they're just like, yeah, it's just that scene, so just do this. And it's like, what? No, fuck, come on.
I feel like in their heads they may have thought that they were doing what you're saying.
You could be right.
Yeah, but they're leaning towards disgusting the audience instead of frightening the audience, which is, I feel, way easier to do. And that I think the braces scene is a good example of that. They aren't really. It's like, okay, how can we make someone more like repelled by this instead of more like creeped out and frightened by this?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Or that was just that, like, the happenstance of whatever random thing that they just got an idea
popped
for.
into- it's like
and then they
braces,
just
why not?
ran with. That's kind of how it feels to me.
That might be true, actually. Yeah.
The this sort of, to me, is along the same lines. The when they're running out of the house and they get to the car, they can't find Carol Ann. That she's in the car. She hid there. Blah blah blah. Grandma told her it was a safe place. Blah blah. That whole sequence with the fucking chainsaw, it made me kind of think to myself, like, what are we talking about? Like, what's the core purpose or like conceit of the Poltergeist movies,
powers,
right? So like, I have a problem with this idea of if there's an entity that's powerful enough to, you know, slam doors or like create these visions or like have, you know, I don't know what else, like shoot Steven across the room because it electrocutes him when he sits down in a chair because he's mad, or like Kane's in the chair and like he gets propelled across the room. It's powerful enough to do that, but if it can do that, then it should also be able to make that chainsaw not be so shitty. You know what I mean? It's like the chainsaw's like tip-tapping away at like certain pieces. It's like, dude, why like just fucking kill them then? Just kill them.
It was weird. I don't think I was put off by it, but I wasn't into it the way
That's
I wanted
what I mean.
to be.
It's sort of like it just doesn't quite land. It's
yeah,
just
I thought
like,
it was neat in theory. Like, okay, if the first one sets up that it can be flying these objects around and sort of has a connection to electrical equipment, you know, things.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, it made sense. It worked, but just something in the execution didn't totally land.
I mean, yeah, the chainsaw thing, it felt very, they're saying, okay, we have a house. What are things that weren't in the first movie that we can now exploit, like make come alive and scare them? But they don't really follow through with it with the chainsaw for sure. Right before that, when Steven comes up to the car and tries to get Carol Ann to let him in, and she won't do it because she saw him earlier, like possessed. I'd like to think that Carol Ann's smarter than that. That she's looking at her father right now. He's clearly not the same. He's clearly changed. I would like
you
to
know
think,
that
like,
wasn't Daddy.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
yeah.
You'd think that he wouldn't have to say that. It's like, that would be such a great moment if she looked at it and was like, Daddy, it's you. Like,
you're
like,
back.
She is.
There you go. That would be an emotionally resonant moment. So, like, she realized, and you know, she's supposed to be so clairvoyant. She's supposed to be in touch with all these
Again,
spirits.
writing
why
her like
doesn't she
she's still a 5-year-old or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, even as a 5-year-old, I feel like she would.
She's smart. Yeah, I was really frustrated by that moment too.
Yeah, that's. I mean, you don't dumb down the children. Like that's what Steven Spielberg always was good about.
Yeah,
so, like, don't make the children idiots. Make them relatable. It's
The only other specific thing, I'm sure you guys have more I want to hear, but just to get out the last specific thing I had that didn't work was Kane disappearing at the beginning in the mall. Like, I just thought the effect was fine, whatever, but just it happening that soon, it was enough already just to have him there and being creepy. Like, it didn't need it to be like, just, okay, wait, so they can only see him and no one else can, and he's like, they can walk, all these other people can walk through him. Like, it didn't, I don't know, just as far as like in a horror movie, how you're pacing out kind of the stuff that you have to buy into. Yeah. It was just too much too soon. You don't need to put an effect on this guy.
Yeah, the special effects guy had a new toy he really wanted to play with in that moment. I was like, hey, I can make people walk right through this guy. Let's do it. But no, you're so right. The guy is creepy enough. You don't need to add an incredibly lame mid-'80s special effect to just emphasize that even more. That's probably the least creepy thing about him in that particular scene.
Makes a little sound too.
God. So yeah, reveal that later on. I mean, it's pretty clear that he's some kind of demon early on, but don't just, we're not idiots. Let us find that out later.
Lure us in.
God.
Yeah, there's really not a whole lot sort of left to discover in this movie. You know what I mean? They kind of just right away, they tell you what's going on. It's like Zelda and Taylor.
Tangina. Yeah.
What's
Tangina.
Tangina. So Tangina and Taylor kind of are like, oh, hey everybody, just so you know, exposition. We're in this cave, and you know, it turns out there's a bunch of dead bodies in here. And it was this. We found out really quickly that it was this preacher who had a cult and he buried everybody alive. Yep. So everybody cool? We're on the same page.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Go tell everybody else. It's like, well, okay, like now I don't care, 'cause, like I want to discover things in the movie.
Make that the discovery once we get there in the end.
Like imagine this movie.
But I like the flashbacks.
Definitely. I do too. But imagine this movie if you didn't have any of the exposition. You just have them in this new place. And you just have this old dude popping up and interacting with Carol Ann for the entire first act.
Yeah.
And you get to the end of the first act and it's sort of like, then Taylor, his real name's Will. Then Taylor shows up and he's like, fuck, like I needed to get to you guys. Is everything okay? And it's like, maybe it is the same kind of beat where it's like just after the grandma has died and you can weave the relationship with him and Steven together, but you're then trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. And even in that first act with that ambiguity of who this old fuck is, maybe Carol Ann is having flashback sort of dreams. We've established she's clairvoyant. She's seen these weird things and we're just getting like 6 frames of it, you know, where it's like these weird flashes of this old dude and you're like, why? She's already met him. So it's like, is it just a nightmare she's having? Is there something to it? Whatever, like that would be incredibly unsettling. And then we get more. I mean, you could, you really could.
It wouldn't be hard.
You know, and then that sets up like it's actually a movie of discovering why this is happening again. Mm-hmm. Because they are just pretty much straight off the bat told why it's happening again. Well, who gives a fuck then? It's like, okay, great, here we go.
That's something that always frequently upsets me when I watch sequels, because the reason why most commonly the reason why I enjoyed the first one was because I connected with the characters, I connected with their experience. So the fact that we have to spend, I think, the first 15 minutes of this movie not even seeing these characters that I liked, but being told this backstory that I have no real context about,
right.
It's not going to be applied till later. That's just such a bad way to get this going. Like, start out right there in that little backyard party let us catch up with the Freelings. For me, that's why I'm here. So I don't need to hear about.
Yeah.
Well, and that also
you could have had that opening scene that's there of the Native American stuff. Like, I liked that, but again, sort of leave the explicit exposition out at all. Tease it as like, oh, this is an interesting thing. We're in a sequel, new territory.
Yeah, no, I'm with
but
that.
But just don't be, Yeah,
because like you can introduce Taylor without telling us anything. Yeah. We just go, okay, here's a new person. This? We don't know who he is. We don't know what his deal is. Yeah. And even making him ambiguous will lay some groundwork for the characters we do know to also discover who's who.
Yeah.
Whereas like the way we have it, it's like Stephen right out is just sort of like, it's the cahoots line. It's sort of like, we just get it out of the way. Like, are you in cahoots? No. Okay. Like, it's just meh.
What was it again? I possess? No.
I don't cahoot with anybody.
I don't cahoot with anybody.
So, oh shit, there was one other thing that was making me think of. Shoot.
If you don't remember, do you have anything else, Peter?
Well, I did want to address what you were saying about things that worked. I didn't like the interplay between Taylor and Steven. I felt like it just seemed like such an easy way to go. I mean, Steven is the skeptic and you got Taylor and he's just like, oh, this old fool, what's he doing? It felt like something just straight out of, well, the 80s, I guess. I mean, it didn't work. It didn't feel natural. It didn't really feel like it had to be there. Yeah. And I mean, like I said, or it just reminds me of like Ghostbusters. I mean, he has seen that this stuff exists, that these supernatural elements exist. He's lived through this. Why is he still a skeptic? And why is he looking at this Taylor guy with the side eye? It just seems like, okay, you have to have the white character look at the Native American and say, oh, what a buffoon. Like, that just seems like
people are still that way to things like
but
that.
They haven't been through what Steven's been through.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, I know, people are still that way. And I can kind of forgive that aspect of it. It just felt clunky the way it was written out. I didn't feel like
you're right. I think
it felt too formulaic.
They could have established the change that he went through at the end of the first one more at the beginning of this one, and then kind of built it from there rather than feeling like it was being repeated so much. Like, you could still have it sort of getting at this core character thing he has to work out, but at least have him already be the Steven who went through the events of the first one and learned something from there.
I think they.
So I don't know.
I think they were on the right track almost, because the root of what Steven's problem or flaw in this movie is that he's not kind of quote unquote manning up, which I don't really like that term, but that's what they're trying to reinforce, this idea of like what does it mean to be a man and like the patriarch of the household and protecting your family and all of that stuff. If we're watching him really unravel, and Taylor's role is not to be this sort of counterpoint to him unraveling, but to be like somebody who's coming in to try to support him in that state and help him, like actually help him in a sort of more deep and meaningful way. And he's pushing that off the same way that, you know, somebody who's struggling with whatever, anything in their lives often will push away help. And if Diane is having, like, she's not penetrating either, and this outside person isn't penetrating, that come around of that could be quite powerful. But like, it's all kind of like what you're saying. There's a little tongue in cheek to it. It's a little too kind of like on the nose, like the car thing, like it's a little. It just doesn't quite land. I think that they could have. It would be a different movie, and maybe, you know, they have a mandate to keep it sort of in this particular fucking plane of family friendly, but, you know, scary as well, whatever. But like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Watching somebody in a really bad place in their life and watching the people around them desperately try to help is powerful shit.
Yeah.
Like, put it in.
Yeah.
Why not?
I'll stand by that. I think as far as just who Steven represents and is as a character is a really fun, good contrast to Willie Sampson, that Taylor. But
I agree.
Yeah. So no, but
wouldn't you?
I'm giving myself my own butt, you know.
Okay. Oh, okay. You go.
I mean, but yours is different.
Wouldn't you like to see us? What I would love to have seen in the first fucking 2 acts of this movie, Steven be the thing that is antithetical to who he really is and who we've grown to love. That's
what I'm trying to say is, like, show us how he grew from the first one. Again, make that the starting place, because you could then just have sort of like, okay, but this sort of his new reality is then being usurped in another way, you know?
Because I think it would be fun to watch him, to have us not get the things that we love about him in most of this movie, and then have that be his sort of catharsis, that he comes back around to accepting or, you know, rediscovering what his sort of strength was in the first one. Because he's pretty fucking like powerful and strong, and like he's so fucking endearing, and he's just like, I'm in, like, we're gonna fucking solve this.
It should have ended with him sacrificing himself, you know, and he lives or he doesn't, but he's just in his headstrong mode, puts everything else aside, you know, use that final spear, you know, grabs the beast and takes it to the realm within the realm, you know, whatever.
It is so fucking of that era of, like, you solved the fucking movie by, like, just killing the thing. You know what I mean? It's like
Dolly Dearest.
Exactly.
Blow it up.
Yeah, just blow it up. Just fucking stab it with a spear. Just fucking... and have grandma.
But if it's a blessed spear or whatever, you know. What else you guys got?
I have one more. Just the visual aesthetic of that sort of hallmarky, like overlit, glossy, like cheeseclothy stuff.
So much of that.
I fucking hate that. You know when the only time that shit ever works in modern day is when David Lynch does it in Blue Velvet. That's it. That's it. You don't do it. It's fucking dumb looking.
Right.
In modern day, 33 years ago. That's right.
Yeah. The modern film era, whatever that means.
Yeah, right.
All right. So what else you got?
I mean, we discussed the climax. So yeah, I mean, I just want to add to that, or not add my opinion. It doesn't work. It doesn't land. There's not enough that really happens. It's the special effects people finding ways to make it as visually stunning for 1986 as they possibly can, and including a big giant angel who's the grandmother. I mean, it's it doesn't land in an emotional way at all. But I mean, or in even a visceral way at all because it's just not paced well. It's just completely lands
Actually,
with the thud.
that was, if they're duplicating the first one almost sort of larger beat for beat, this is this scene. I missed having the sort of surprise fourth act. Like it felt like it was kind of lacking in some way by the ending. That sounded like what you kind of were getting at. As far as it felt kind of rushed in a sense by the time we finally get to the ending.
It's as if they ran out of money or something.
That's my other thing. The sort of just the wonkiness and the clearly like they didn't have enough time or money to do some of these effects. Like even in the opening scene, like the smoke and it sort of it's doing its thing. I forget what you even would call it, but it effectively is animated smoke, right?
Like the first one.
Exactly, but it just doesn't look as good as even the first one. Like they just didn't spend enough time on it. You can see the edges, you know what I mean, so to speak. You can see the cracks.
Doesn't have the same character the first one had.
The quote unquote Spielberg clouds, like those look like they comped it in and they were like, well, we can't really make it big enough for this, so let's just shrink them down a little bit. Yeah, like little stuff like
final
that.
Finessing.
Yeah, it's just sort of like, oh, we don't really have enough money for that, so just grab that, we'll throw it in.
I don't know if it's as visible on like a VHS or something, but watching this Blu-ray, I mean, you can see the halos around the effects. You can see like the discoloration, like the blackness that's pretty prevalent in the, like Return of the Jedi, which was then fixed by George Lucas in the special edition. So
we just gotta wait for Poltergeist 2, the other side special edition.
I'm sure they'll do that first before Poltergeist.
Oh my God.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, so you don't have the money or the technology for the special effects to look convincing. So find another way to do it. Like the first movie. I mean, it was made 4 years earlier, but the effects hold up. They look fine. They look perfectly acceptable.
Don't make a floating fucking like mess monster in fucking daylight. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's just
don't make that decision.
Right there.
Yeah. So, do you want to? Are you good for things of note, guys?
Yeah, sure. Let's do
so
it.
we can learn all about that floating. What did you call it?
Yes.
Good.
All right, things of note.
This should be interesting.
So, wait, what did you just call it? Floated? That was perfect.
Mess monster?
Mess monster. So you said you didn't like design. You should check it out. So H.R. Geiger was the concept artist on this film. And his original artwork for The Beast is, as you'd expect, pretty stellar and cool.
I bet.
So when it came time to actually making this into a real thing, though, so H.R. Geiger, we all know is an interesting guy, but he was very selective in sort of when he'd actually, leave his house to sort of work on films or whatever. He never wanted to leave his cat for like more than very long was part of it, but he's also very selective with his films. But he thought that, this one he liked doing them too. It was a cool opportunity. So he sent his sort of trusted assistant over to be his like overseer and had like the specific directions, make sure they translate my concept art accordingly. So as soon as basically the assistant was like, hey, I think he should come look at this, but I just got to tell you, it's all too late to change.
Oh, no.
And so H.R. Geiger went over there. And, we kind of imagined him that maybe he'd be some sort of irascible fellow, which he, is in a certain regard, but he's very respectful. He's like, oh, everyone, you did great work, all the time you did. So, and I think he kind of got to that it was like, well, I mean, look at what I painted here and like, how are you going to make it? Like when you look at it, it's this extended. So it's got this, like, as you put it, this foot thing that's like a single solid tentacle, then this body that's this multiple moving faces, and then extending out into like more tentacles with sort of like a sort of tentacle face within that. So the effects guys looked at that and were like, how are you going to make that, So it sounded like H.R. Geiger's more critique was and he had ideas for how to shoot it and how to light it. And he had ideas directions on that I guess they just didn't end up sticking with. How much to show it. Yeah. Well, meaning is as far as at what point, how did they get a shoot,
Right.
Did they forget about it? Was it intentional? Did it just evolve out? But Yeah, I don't know. And it got me thinking, like, yeah, he was just not happy with how it turned out, clearly, but attested it more to like a lot of just how they shot it, because he kind of almost gave them benefit of the doubt. He wasn't there. How the heck would you make this in real life anyways? Yeah.
Did do you know if those sketches or paintings or anything exist?
Yeah, they were in the documentary. You can look them up online.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. You should look at it. He yeah, and yeah.
Let's find a couple and throw them up on the old the
Instagram.
The Instagram.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
It's not too much on screen, but he did like what we've already commended, the torso creature that crawls out. I thought it maybe moved a little too fast, but aside from that, I liked how it moved.
Nice.
And then he liked the worm also. Those two things. God is okay.
Good. So we're on the same page there, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. You guys want to hear more things about the effects?
Yeah.
I got more stuff. Since I mentioned the torso monster, do you remember like how it gives that smirk, and sort of attached to that performance, you see its mouth give like a twitch?
Yeah.
It's very specific.
Oh, yeah.
So when they got that, the effects guy, one of the main effects guys, Steve Johnson, I think it was like, oh no, we got to do it again. The wire snapped, and the director and everyone else was like watching the playback or whatever. They're like, oh no, that was awesome. And I think it was one of those examples where, yeah, it gives it a realistic sort of, you can't replicate it quirk that made it that much more just kind of take on a life of its own. So it was cool that they did go with that.
That is a memorable moment.
Yeah.
And I'm glad they kept it. That is
even like a sub moment, Yeah, just like that twitch it does.
A memorable moment amongst an enormously memorable moment. In this movie.
Yeah, that's cool. And then that same effect guy, Steve Johnson, who's in this documentary, he wasn't crazy about how the braces against the ceiling looked either. But he said, as far as working with H.R. Geiger, he learned something valuable, which was while he was sort of taught by the Dick Smith, Richard Baker school of realism with effects, where you basically take as much time as possible, get the sculpt to look, as realistic as possible. He said H.R. Geiger taught him, like, you have to, the more quickly you can finish something, the truer it will be to the original idea and sort of capture that kind of original inception point or magic. It's closer to that. So he said, okay, well, once he started doing that he was sculpting all the heads on the Great Beast thing, he said you could see the distinction between all the ones that he was taking weeks to complete, he thought didn't look as good, and the ones that he did faster were just sort of way more potent or interesting. But then he took him, a day to finish.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And that's how H.R. Geiger paints, was this guy, like, get the idea out. If he's thinking of something, sketch it immediately.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's far out.
I have or did you have more?
I have more, but I want to hear from you guys.
I have something that I've heard for years, and according to IMDb is the case. So, but I mean, who really knows with IMDb? Maybe you can confirm, since you watched all those documentaries, that the original cut of this movie was 135 minutes long.
Oh, cool.
And it tested poorly, so they cut 45 minutes from it, and that's why we have this 91-minute version, which seems to skip over so many plot points and character development.
I would love to see that.
And so many scenes seem so sloppily edited and seem to move too quickly.
Wow.
It's like, so when I heard this, like, I watched this movie, I kind of believe it. I feel like a lot could have been like really deep, and there's just so many moments that just don't really hit because they aren't given enough room to breathe. I feel like this whole movie is just rushed and just weirdly paced, and things just don't really happen at the right time, and that could be a symptom of having like an entire third of the movie.
Just get it to that right running time.
And that's just so. I mean, that would be a logical next step after what. I mean, Poltergeist 1 was 115 minutes, so let's make it a little bit longer. I mean, so I kind of believe this rumor. Which is, and when they released that Shout Factory Blu-ray, or when they announced it, I was like, are they going to finally put the 135-minute version out to the open? And sure enough,
that was probably not a version, but a like first cut. You know, those things don't really have a finished thing they can put out in an easy, recommendable way. It takes a lot of resources and fandom in order to get that done.
Are there any deleted scenes or anything on that Blu-ray?
No, I didn't notice them. I wanted to listen to the commentary, did not have time.
Yeah, I mean that's the weird thing about this, but it just doesn't. The pacing is just so far off, and I feel like that is the explanation for it right there. So.
Did you know that the director died? Like 4 years after this?
Oh, wow. It's
Brian
the real
Gibson.
Poltergeist curse there.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to sort of look
else?
at that curse thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of fucking bullshit.
Well,
what do you got on it? Do you have stuff on
no,
it?
not the curse, but just something real. I'll put it that way. You know, like the first one, how they used real skeletons because they're cheaper than fake skeletons. Same deal with this one.
Really?
And
They repeated it.
Will Sampson was not too happy about that.
Oh, I mean, I read that he did a full exorcism of the set.
He flipped out and did this whole
Like a
ritualistic ceremony thing. Like, he was mad that they used real skeletons, and it's like, dude, let me do my thing here.
Yeah.
So Will Sampson really was this guy. So it was this kind of... Okay.
And so the actor who played Robbie, what's his name?
Oliver
Robbins.
Yeah.
Yeah, he described working with Will Sampson as kind of like I was trying to allude to earlier. His eyes are, you just saw he had a depth to them of like he has seen the other side and had that presence for sure. Yeah. And so actually, we were wondering the braces thing. That was I totally forgot. That was originally going to be a bee attack.
Oh, jeez.
But he was allergic to bees.
Ooh.
So they said, no way. And
safety first.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Interesting how they got from point A to B, not that one.
You've done it. I'm gonna fucking jump across this room.
And then,
what would that see? Is he still brushing his teeth in the the
where are
bathroom?
their bees?
Where are these bees going? Probably from the
rose bushes?
Probably from the tree right outside his bedroom door. They were just repeating what's happening.
Just a cartoon beehive.
Yeah, he's going up to get some honey, disguising himself as a rain cloud. Right.
Does not work. The last thing I had for Robbie's interview was he was really excited when he got the call for the sequel because he could leave school and it would get him out of getting bullied.
Oh man, that's depressing.
I know. But,
fuck you, bullies.
That's how he said it. Yeah.
But they didn't ask him to do the third one. I don't know.
Maybe they didn't have the part for him.
You're right. Okay.
We
loved those new characters so much more.
Yeah. Very last thing I had, sorry, it's a lot, but I loved learning about this effects guy on it, Screaming Mad George. This is how he goes by. It's his name. It's his moniker. It's what his lower third said. He's this like Japanese dude from Osaka who worked on this, and Society did all the.
Oh no, your favorite.
Yeah. And that's a few other films, a lot of like sequels of different things. So, and he's just this like punk character. Cool. So it's like a name to recommend or a name to know for next time you're playing 80s horror movie Trivial Pursuit.
They have that?
Yeah. I think it's noteworthy, I guess. The budget was 19 million and it made 40, but generally budgets are listed as about half of what their actual budget is because they don't put into like the budget, the PR and whatever. And I'm pretty sure they put a lot into the PR for this movie. So they essentially broke even.
Well, enough to warrant a third one.
Yeah.
By the bankers.
The third one was a flop, though.
Yeah.
Okay. Lastly, this is not a trivia thing, but I just thought it was funny that you could read this whole movie that Kane is right, and this was just about Taylor conning a family for a car.
Oh my god.
I'm in.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So, it makes so much more sense now.
Anything else interesting, noteworthy?
If you're able to get butterflies to float around you, that gets people to trust you. Yeah. You could get a lot of cars that way.
That's true. That's all it takes.
We had our experience watching it. That was great. Yeah, I don't know what else to say.
We never mentioned the dream sequence where she gets pulled into the lawn. That's pretty good. That's
Oh yeah.
Fuck.
I kind of like
It
that.
is good.
Right.
It's so short and so sort of like in the middle of a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah,
That
it comes
it
at a
gets
completely
lost.
awkward time, just
Yeah.
like everything else in this movie. But
too
I think
bad.
as a short film,
But she
it
shouldn't
kinda
be the
works.
one having that experience.
Yeah, right.
Fucking Steven should have that experience. If we're flipping the movie a little bit, have Steven have that experience. Like you're doing scene to scene,
Yeah.
like flip it.
Like poke his buttons. Yeah.
Yeah. Then I'd be on board. I'd be like, no, I'd fucking
But
drink
they
a bottle
are
of
going
tequila
after
that.
Carol
too.
Ann.
Fine.
I mean, in the first movie, she gets the worst of it, and in this movie, she gets the worst of it again. It's kind of I
That's
guess,
right.
Yeah. Hey,
want her.
you know what? That's because the original creators aren't involved. They're just They're just doing exactly what the first one did, as close as they can, and hopefully the success repeats itself.
Well, it didn't. So
Yeah, Screaming Mad George was also on Big Trouble Little China, Predator, Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and 4.
hell yeah,
Yeah,
nice, cool guys.
I think that's it.
We
for
did
things
it.
about-
Wow,
We fucking did it.
How about it?
Yep.
So
Significantly longer than the movie itself. Right, yeah.
So some recommendations.
Yes.
Should you go first, Peter?
Sure. Our guest.
Sure.
What can you recommend, Ed?
What I can recommend? I mean, if you
Recommend Ed.
Well, I can recommend Dead. Well, I'll just do something a little quirky, but only and tangentially related to what you guys do here. There's a new
Fucking say Arnold.
there's a movie. If you go to a really like obscure video store, they have these 2-for-1 sales. If you want to buy Back to the
Okay.
Future, you can get a copy of Arnold, and you should really watch Arnold. It's also on YouTube. Okay, there's a movie out right now, remake of Child's Play, which I have not seen. Child's Play, of course, the Chucky movie. Most people call it Chucky. It's called Child's Play. The main actress in that is a actress who I'm very fond of called Aubrey Plaza. Whenever she has a movie out, she does the talk show circuits like crazy. And she's been on almost every talk show in existence right now, and they are all spectacular appearances. They're very funny, as they always are in a perfectly awkward out of body kind of way that she always assumes. There's that, and on YouTube, I've been hearing for years about this YouTube series where people eat progressively spicy pieces of buffalo wings.
Oh, yeah.
with chicken.
I saw
She
that.
did that, and I was the first time I ever watched that because she did it, and that is once again a very fun appearance. So if you like Aubrey Plaza, she's out there and
Nice.
she's doing her thing. I feel like she should get like a Netflix special or something, just being who she is, because
That's a good
so great.
recommendation. I'm excited
Yeah.
to watch those now.
Please do.
I've
Yes.
definitely seen a supercut of her on talk shows.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it is hilarious.
Good stuff.
She's great. Anytime we can get new material to add to those supercuts, it's a good time.
It's so
Well,
good.
I can keep going down the list. I'm trying to pick. After watching all the Godzilla films, pick a Godzilla film from each era of Godzilla films as a favorite to recommend Dead. So yeah, last episode I picked one from the first era that runs between 54 and 75. And now for this one, this was okay. So the Heisei, I don't know how you say it, period, from 84 to 95. This was my favorite, like, period if I had to pick one. They all had their perks, but it had, like, the original composer, who was the really good one, made all the themes. And my favorite thing in any kind of series or horror movie is continuity between the films. This was the only one that fully does it.
You mean cobweb continuity?
No.
Continuity.
Damn it. Sorry, Tim. And so I think my favorite among them, it's not the scariest ones at the earlier ones, maybe not the coolest monster, but just tonally, it was like so ridiculous and like fun, but just kind of, I don't know. It just, let me just read this. Okay. Godzilla versus King Ghidorah. It's that one. It's kind of comes in the middle of them all. The synopsis is time travelers' efforts to prevent a dinosaur's mutation result in the creation of a 3-headed dragon that terrorizes Japan. You got time travel. You got these weird little cute creature things. You got fun leads. And then you got King Ghidorah and Godzilla. You know, it's just the arch nemesis. It's my favorite out of them. Check it out.
That's pretty cool.
Cool. Yeah.
So I decided to take a look at one of these new Netflix originals. that are popping up. And, you know, I think we talked about this. I start a lot of movies and, you know, I give it about 20 minutes. And if it's shit, I just turn it off, which seems kind of dumb, I guess, or maybe against my, I don't know. I feel bad doing it, I guess, or I used to feel bad doing it. Now I don't care. But there's a movie called Perfection. I believe it's Perfection, not The Perfection. It's Perfection. It's called. Oh no, it is. It's The Perfection. And it's a Netflix original. It's got the girl who was in Get Out. She's the lead. The girlfriend whose name is. Oh yeah. What is
Allison Williams?
Yes, thank you.
Right.
And it's got some good shit in it. It's got a couple things that I just, as like, I don't know, as storytelling sort of things I don't like, but whatever. There's this like events happen and then they sort of show them in reverse and then do it again kind of thing. And that I was like, that's weird and I'm not into it. But there's some pretty good shit in it, and it's got some cool twist and turny sort of stuff in it, and it's got some really good unpleasant body horror. And a dude who I really like, Steven Weber, the actor Steven Weber, is in it. He's great. And I've met him. He's a fucking awesome dude. So all in all, it's worth, because it's one of these like sort of stream on Netflix, whatever. Like if you have the hour and a half or whatever it is, 2 hours, and you're just looking for a fun kind of dark, twisted thing, it's pretty good. It's not amazing, but it's pretty good. Okay. I was glad I put it on.
Cool.
I'm a Girls fan, so I like Allison Williams a lot. I will watch that. Yeah, sorry.
No, she's good. She really seems she feels much different. The character feels much different from anything I've seen her do before. So I was kind of pleasantly surprised. I kept having to remind myself who she was. I was like, oh wait, that's right. That's that girl, right? Got it. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
All right. I think we got to do the part of the show that I've been most excited for, Tim. And that's when we have our guest choosing mine and Tim's fate for next week. Peter Warden, would you pull from the hat?
So Arnold isn't in here anymore?
No.
Okay.
I suppose you could read it. I guess we got to talk about Arnold again.
You have to watch it and talk about it. Don't get to skip the first part. Okay, I'm just wrestling through here. I assure you, I'm going to do the least painful thing I can think of because of what I did to you last time. So, okay. Oh, you know what? I think I did. Audition.
Yeah.
From 1999. All right. Awesome.
I have not seen this. I've avoided watching this movie.
I haven't seen it either, but I hear nothing but amazing things. I'm jealous that you guys get
I
to
have
watch it.
seen it. It was a while ago. I thought it was great, and we had to put it in because, well, Tim hasn't seen it, and I want to talk about it.
Shit.
That is a good one, Peter.
Oh, that is good. Fuck yeah.
Thank you.
I expected to... oh, this fell out. I expected to find something that I had never heard of in my life, because that seems to be most of the movies that appear on here. So, but no, Audition, a very well-respected, famous movie.
Great.
Awesome.
Find a good Blu-ray of that, too. Wish we
Easy.
could see it in theaters. It's so good, Tim.
It's possible.
Just watch it when it's dark. Get all in the good mood. This one's a big one.
Yeah.
Well, all right. In the meantime, you can find us at dismemberinghorror.com.
Yeah, and on Instagram at dismemberinghorror, Gmail, dismemberinghorror@gmail.com.
And
Twitter.
Yep, got all that good stuff. But in Peter, where can everyone find you and your show?
You can find me at, the show, Retro Reviews. The Instagram is Retro Reviews Pod. You can email us at retroreviewspod.com. And just do a quick Google search, Retro Reviews, Peter and Ray. You'll find us. Our next episode is going to be on a movie I'm very fond of called Mulholland Drive.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
That will have come out by the time this episode's released.
Probably, yeah.
So
Right.
hear
Sweet.
Peter talk about I like to call it a horror film in a lot of ways. So.
I think it is a horror film. Yeah. It should be in your hat.
So, check
It's
it
on my
out.
shelf.
Hear more of Peter and Tim.
right.
And Peter, you're at p.warden.40.
At Instagram, you can find me at p.warden.40. Yes. Yeah, come check it out.
You can see Peter going to see U2 and going to Disneyland.
Also, don't forget that Peter is the star of Drew Todd.
Oh,
my favorite doll movie of all time.
Available on YouTube. Recently unearthed.
I appreciate that shout out. Yep, very proud of that movie. Yeah.
Great. Well, in closing, thanks for listening.
And we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.